Good afternoon, students. Today we discuss about 12th D commerce afternoon video. In this afternoon video, we start a new chapter, that is Introduction to Financial Market. Lesson number 4. First we discuss the meaning and definition of financial market. A market wherein financial instruments such as financial claims, assets, and securities are traded is known as financial market. That is, in a place where the financial instruments are to be bought and sold is known as, that place is called as financial market. Maybe asset, securities, shares, bonds are to be bought and sold in a place. That place is called as the financial market. In other words, financial market may be channels through which flow loanable funds directed from a supplier who has an excess of assets towards a demander who experience a deficit of funds. So those who are having a deficit of funds, they should contact the loanable funds concern and they should borrow money from them. That channel is also called as financial market. Not only assets, securities are to be bought and sold, but also funds are to be transferred by way of loan or by way of any deposits which are to be transferred from one person to another person is also known as a financial market. And then definition point of view, according to Brigham Young F., the place where people and organization wanting to borrow money are brought together with those having surplus funds is called as financial market. That is, this author says the place where the people or the organization, the business concern, they want to borrow money from others or they should lend money to others, which those having a surplus funds, it is also called as a financial market. So a financial market, unlike the other markets, is more of an intangible concept and basically refers to a marketplace where buyers and sellers usually participate in exchange of assets such as equity, bonds, derivatives, etc. So that place is also called as a financial market. Next we discuss about the scope of financial market. So there are different scope in the case of financial market. We discuss one by one. This is also called as a types of financial market. So types of financial market point of view on the base of financial claims. On the base of financial claims, the market may be classified into debt market, equity market. So debt market means it is a financial market for trading in debt instruments. That is, government bonds, securities or corporate bonds and securities are to be bought and sold in the case of a debt market. Equity market means it is a financial market for trading equity shares of different companies. On the basis of maturity of financial claims, there are various types of financial market. First one is money market. So it is a market for short-term financial claims. Mostly the treasury bills, commercial papers, certificate of deposits are to be bought and sold in the case of a money market. So this market is a short-term financial claim market. Capital market. It is a market for long-term financial claims, more than 1 year. In case of shares or debentures are to be bought and sold in the case of a capital market to claim a long-term financial. On the basis of time of issue of financial claims. Primary market. So it is a term used to include all the institutions that are involved in the sale of securities for the first time for the issuers. Here, the money from investors goes directly to the issuers. Issuer means the company. Investor means the public or any other institutions. So, primary market is a market where the securities are bought and sold for the first time in the case of a primary market. So, it is a market. Primary market is a market to bought and sold only the first time securities are to be sold and bought. So mostly the newly started companies and also the existing companies, those who wants to issue fresh shares, that companies are to be sold their shares through primary market. So primary market is the market to deal only the first hand securities. Fresh securities are to be bought and sold. And then secondary market. Secondary market is the market for securities that are already issued. So stock exchange is an important institution in the secondary market. So secondary market is a place where the securities are traded which are to be already issued to the public. Mostly the second-hand securities are to be bought and sold in the case of a secondary market. So stock exchange is one of the important organization to deal the second-hand securities. That is those securities which are already issued. The type of securities are bought and sold in the case of secondary market. And then on the base of time of a financial claim, there is cash or spot market. So it is a market where delivery of the financial instruments is to be made. Payment of cash occurs immediately. So settlement is completed immediately in the case of a primary, that is a cash on spot market. So cash and spot market is a market where the finance instruments are to be deal, that is bought and sold, and the cash are to be settled immediately. There is no time given for a settlement of a cash. Next, forward or futures market. Forward or a futures market. So it is a market where the delivery of assets and the payment of cash takes place at a predetermined time frame in future. So forward or future market is a market where the securities are bought and sold and the payment will take place to take some more days. So time will be fixed. When did the amount will be settled in the case of securities. So that type of market is called as a forward or future market. Next, on the basis of organization structure of the financial market. First one is exchange traded market. So it is a market, centralized organization which have standardized procedures. So those organizations which are having a regular procedures, standardized procedures to be followed at the time of exchange of securities. So mostly the stock exchange is one of the exchange traded market. So it is one of the centralized organization to deal the securities having a standardized procedures. Next, over the counter market. So it is a decentralized market outside the stock exchange which customized procedures. So over the counter market means it is the market to deal the securities out of the stock exchange, having some authorized clerk and remessors, some of the persons to deal the securities. So on the basis of these various claims, the securities market are to be classified. And then role of financial market. So one of the important requirements, requisites for the accelerated development of an economy is the existence of a dynamic and a resilient financial market. So a financial market is of great use for country as it helps the economy in the following manner. So role of financial market point of view, there are various functions are there. So we can discuss these functions in the next video class. Thank you.